You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
You're listening to Glove Up or Shut Up on AngryMarks.com with Peter H. and Stevie J. Find them on Twitter at HardcoreCDN and at AngryMarks. And now, for all the news, reviews, and interviews in mixed martial arts, it's time for Glove Up or Shut Up from AngryMarks.com.
And welcome everybody to another episode of Glove Up or Shut Up right here at AngryMarks.com. My name is Peter H. I'm joined once again by my co-host from Omaha, Nebraska, Stevie J.
It's going to be a show full of rematches. We've got Blades versus Nagano 2 and Liddell versus Ortiz 3 to talk about. And then we've got 3 more shows coming up this weekend.
UFC Fight Night 142 and 2 Bellator shows, one in Thackerville, Oklahoma, and one in Genoa, Italy.
Yeah, I thought it was Genoa, not Genoa, but whatever.
Could be my accent peeking through there.
Well, we're probably both saying it wrong. Let's be honest. Neither one of us is Italian.
That's true. Let's start, let's start with the Golden Boy MMA show.
All right, I have to give a disclaimer ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I was compensated to watch this pay-per-view. I would not have ordered it on my own. I don't think that biases my opinion in what I'm about to say, but I feel it's fair to say that up front anyway. I did not have to pay for this pay-per-view, and I was compensated for my coverage of said pay-per-view, so please bear that in mind. And also, I have a feeling you are going to force me into the position of playing devil's advocate, and if you do so, I want to say that up front, I agree with you in advance, but I will end up arguing the counterpoint just for the sake of good radio.
All right. Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, combined age over 80 years old in the main event.
One of them looked significantly older than the other.
So, for those that missed the open workouts, Liddell didn't look good.
No, he was not the spry, fast-moving, light heavyweight we all remember.
And even one reporter said, what commission is allowing this fight to continue?
Yeah, that's been a source of much discussion in the aftermath of the fight.
So we go to the actual fight, and, well, it lasted all of one round.
Yeah, and it was not an elegant round because Chuck Liddell, he doesn't have any movement anymore. He can only go straight forward or straight back. He's not able to dance around. You can tell his hips are shot. His knees are bad. He might still have one-punch knockout power, and the announcing team was desperately trying to sell us on that idea. By the way, that announce team was Todd Grisham, Frank Mir, and Rashad Evans. A very interesting trio. I don't know if they're good, bad, or awful. You'll have to be your own judge on that. But anyway, we didn't need judges for this fight because Tito Ortiz, all he really had to do was walk Chuck Liddell down because Chuck was trying his best to stay out of Tito's power range, but his movement was gone. He never landed that one big overhand right that he wanted to, and when Tito finally backed him up into a corner and didn't let him loose, he had 3 shots that absolutely destroyed Chuck Liddell. He landed his own right, actually, a big overhand right, and then a left to the chin, and one more right hand that made Chuck face plant, like straight down face first, and immediately the referee stepped in to save him.
Yeah, Herb Dean dove in to save him, but not before Tito got 2 good shots in before that happened.
Right, but academic shots, because Chuck was out cold. I doubt he even noticed.
You didn't need to throw those shots.
Well, Herb Dean got on it as fast as he could.
Yeah, it saved him a concussion, I'm thinking. It was...
What do you mean? He had a concussion. That's what a knockout is. A knockout is a concussion.
I meant a more severe one because it's just... When you look at a fight like this, it's... I hate using this term, but, I mean, a lot of people I saw were using it, age in the cage.
Well, like I said, you're probably going to force me into playing devil's advocate here. So
Yeah.
now I have to say I agree with you, but Chuck Liddell would have found a way to fight. You said, what commission would have allowed this? Well, California's taken some heat for allowing it, and they might want to reconsider doing this in the future. But if California hadn't allowed it, Chuck would have found some place that would have, because Chuck wanted to fight that badly against the better advice of his friends, family, Dana White, anybody with an opinion on it. Chuck wanted to fight. He would have gone to an Indian Tribal Gaming Commission and gotten them to sanction it. He would have gone to Japan and gotten Ryzen to sanction it. If he wanted to have this fight, he was going to go window shopping for a commission that would sanction him to fight. You couldn't stop him from fighting.
He wants to fight again.
That's exactly my point, is this is not any of us giving him the advice he needs to hear and him taking it. This is him making the decision against better judgment of everybody involved, and what are you going to do about it? Because it's his call at the end of the day. He's a fighter. He wants to fight. We can't really stop him. We can bemoan the fact that this was a terrible decision on his part, but we can't tell him that. He has to decide that for himself.
Now, when it comes to fighters, with the referees and they're saying, the referee saved the fighter, he wasn't in the right frame of mind, the mental capacity wasn't there. I'm almost scared to think that Chuck wants to fight again. And Stevie, I'm going to ask you this question because I did my research on this. Can you remember the last time Chuck Liddell won a fight?
It's been well over 8 years.
More than 10.
That's why I said well over 8.
Do you know who he beat last? Take a guess.
Oh, let me think. Somebody in the light heavyweight division. What was that guy's name? The Sandman.
No.
Was it Rashad?
No.
Matt Hamill?
No. I'll give you a hint. He just fought in Bellator not too long ago.
Phil Davis?
No. Want me to tell you?
Yeah.
The Axe Murderer.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He had that 3-round war with Vanderlei. That was pretty much the last good fight Chuck Liddell had.
That was 2007. We're almost in 2019.
I know.
Ortiz can say at least he fought Sundin in 2017. That was his last win.
Mm-hmm.
But 2007, I was like, are you serious right now? Like, you have to protect the fighter from themselves. And you're right. The commission approved it. He's a grown man. He can make his own decisions, whether they're good or bad. I get that. But the commission has to be like, no. You're too effed up. You can't, we have to stop you from yourself. We don't want to have a death in our cage, in our state.
Well, this is the exact conversation that I had with Michelle earlier today. I said, it's a shame when fighters will take fights that are ultimately to their own detriment, but at what point do you have to put the responsibility on the fighter? Look at Tim Hague. He got knocked out over and over again in MMA to the point that nobody in the United States would sanction him to fight anymore. So what did he do? He went to Edmonton, he got a boxing license, and he took 2 boxing matches in a few weeks' time, and in the second one, he got knocked out so badly, it killed him. Now, is that their fault for giving Tim Hague a license, or is it his fault for finding a commission that would accept his bid to fight? He went looking for a place to fight, even though it killed him. Where's personal responsibility in this whole equation?
Yeah, you're right. Responsibility, there's enough blame to go around, but Tito Ortiz retired after this fight.
Well, he kind of did so with a sly grin on his face because Frank Mir is standing right there asking him the question, well, you've got what you wanted. You finally beat Chuck Liddell in your third try. Is this it for you? Are you done? And he just stood there, thought about it, and smirked.
Mm-hmm.
But he said he did what he wanted to do.
Well, he wants to be an ambassador, or like a global ambassador. That's what his role wants to be.
That was clear because he was shilling hard for Golden Boy. He's like, everybody come to Golden Boy. Golden Boy is the place to be. If you want to get paid real money, come to Golden Boy.
No, I mean, I think him and DDP are good at that job of shilling, but we should move on to the co-main event. Filthy Tom Lawler.
This was a weird fight.
Yeah.
Okay, first weird thing, and weird in a good way. We had Filthy Tom Lawler lip-syncing to Lana Del Rey's Born to Die. That amused me. I did get a kick out of that. Filthy Tom Lawler always entertains me in one way or another. The next weird thing is Deron Winn is this undefeated prospect who's about a half foot shorter than Filthy Tom Lawler, but they're fighting at light heavyweight. You look at this guy and you think mini Daniel Cormier. And in fact, that's what they were calling him on commentary. And in fact, he trains at AKA. And in fact, Daniel Cormier was at cage side in the crowd, and between rounds, he ran up to the cage to yell advice at him.
That's insane.
That is insane, but what's really insane is that despite Filthy Tom Lawler having the height and reach advantage, in the first round, it was all Deron Winn. He was lighting Filthy Tom up with shot after shot to the point he opened up cuts under both eyes.
It wasn't pretty. It was sad to see, but, he broke his hand in the fight.
Well, no, that's the thing. Tom made his comeback in the second round. He was like, okay, I've had enough of this. I'm going to stand and trade with this guy. If he's going to negate my reach advantage and get in there on me, I'm going to give as good as I get. So he started tagging Deron in the exchanges. And at one point, Deron got rocked and looked at him and backed up. And Tom Lawler just dropped his hands and smiled at him like, yeah, that's what you get. But unfortunately, in all those exchanges in the second round, that's when he broke his hand.
It was in the second round. I kind of figured it was.
Yeah. And then in the third round, Deron took him down because this guy has a great amateur wrestling background. And he finally said, fuck it, I've done enough in the first two rounds. I've done all the damage so far. Now it's time to take him down and ice it out. And that's what he did. He slammed him to the ground with authority.
Near the end of the round, the end of the fight, I should say, Lawler kicked him off a little bit. Like, I think he was pissed off.
Yeah, but at that point it was too late because he had already lost 2 rounds and then got iced on the third. So, the second round's debatable because he landed more shots, but Deron Winn landed the harder shots. So the judges went with the guy who did more damage.
Yeah, I have no problem with this decision. And who was it on Facebook that talked about Lawler and his cast getting removed?
Oh, boy. Somebody
I think
did.
It was Area.
Yeah, probably Area Whitner.
Basically saying when his cast comes off, it'll be filthy.
Yeah, I was like, that's a terrible joke, Arya. That's just terrible. And there you go, getting me to change pronunciations again. I'm pretty sure it's Arya, and you said Area, so I went with it, but it's actually Arya. Sorry, Arya.
All right, let's move on to the other fight that casual fans might know, and that would be the
Efren Escudero versus Gleason Tebow.
Yeah, that fight was long, in my opinion.
Well, the first round was actually really fun because Gleason Tebow, if you know him at all, you should remember that he's like one of the most jacked up lightweights of all time. This, as the commentary put it, he has muscles on top of muscles. And when he hits you with all that muscle, it really hurts like a son of a bitch. But that's the downfall of Gleason Tebow, is if he doesn't get you out of there in the first round, he's so muscular that he starts to lose his gas real quick. So even though Efren Escudero was not nearly as bulky as his opponent, he had a great second round because he was able to fire off at this guy who was really tired and land shot after shot. But Tebow was able to weather the storm in the second round, make a comeback in the third, and he got a 29-28 unanimous decision, which, in my view, was the right call.
Yeah, I had no problem with that score either. It was 29-28 on my card. And, the other fights here on the main card, is there anything we should touch on before we move on? As you said, we got a packed show tonight.
Yep, well, I'll go over it real quick. We had Walil Watson and Ricardo Palacios, and Palacios missed weight twice. He missed a 135-pound bantamweight limit. Then they agreed to a catch weight of 140. He came in at 142. So this guy was shitting the bed, and I say that in no offense to him because I've interviewed him, and he's actually a really nice guy, but man, he blew it with this weigh-in, and he admitted that in the post-fight interview. So he really had only one choice here. He had to go out there and knock this guy out, or he was going to lose even more money. So thank God for him he did. He came out and he had a great performance. And then the other two fights, we had Albert Morales and James Barnes. And Barnes is a Bellator veteran, and he looked like a guy who was fighting with a chip on his shoulder because he was out wrestling Morales, and then he got a submission with an armbar in the third round, and it was a pretty sweet transition too, but not nearly as good as what Jay Silva did to Oscar Cota in the opening fight, because Cota was being touted as like the number one ranked heavyweight in Latin America. Well, he definitely looked like a heavyweight. Think like Big Country in terms of his build, but maybe not as much of a Buddha belly as Big Country, and certainly not as much power in his hands as Big Country, because he managed one really good shot on Silva, and then he started running out of gas, and once he ran out of gas, Silva started tagging him back in response and probably hurt him even worse than Cota ever hurt him. And then in the third round, when he got him on the ground, Cota's ground game was absolute shit, because let's be honest here, Jay Silva's record coming into this fight was like 12-13. So he's not like the world's greatest fighter, and I mean no disrespect, I'm just looking at his record and being honest. But as somebody said to him, and as he said in the post-fight interview, I was told my ground game was better than his, so I gave it a try. And that's what happened, because he got him on the ground, and he moved into position for a head and arm choke and put on the squeeze real tight, and Cota never tapped out, and his arm went limp, and the referee stopped it.
He had 2.5 minutes left. I mean, no, there's no way.
Right. And then people were arguing on commentary whether or not it was an early stoppage. I'm like, that is what the referee is there for. That's their discretion. They're seeing things you can't see on commentary. If he sees the fighter go limp, the fight's over.
And you gotta think, Frank Mir, remember when he lost the fight because his arm snapped and the referee stopped the fight? He's like, what's wrong? And he just pointed, your arm is broken.
Right.
Your arm.
Exactly. Again, this is why you give discretion to the referee. I don't want to hear that it's an early stoppage if the referee saw the guy's eyes roll back or his arm go limp or he stopped breathing, whatever. The referee gets to make that call.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the UFC show that happened on Saturday night. UFC Fight Night 141, Curtis Blades, Francis Ngannou. If you wanted a long fight, this was not the main event for you, that's for sure. Holy crap.
He smoked him like a kielbasa. 45 seconds.
Jesus. I mean, he gets paid by the hour? No, he gets paid by the minute. You even get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not only did Francis Ngannou win quick, he also said in this post-fight interview, I wanted to show that I was hungry. Everybody's been saying all this shit about I'm lazy, I'm unmotivated. Well, look at what I just did.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to be fighting him next. He's coming off a 45-second win, and you're next on his dance card? Good luck to you, sir.
Exactly. Well, you might say the same thing about Alistair Overeem after what he did to Sergey Pavlovich.
He needed that win. He definitely needed that win.
Yeah, and what's funny is afterward, he was more interested in talking crap about Derek Lewis.
I don't know if I want to see that fight.
I don't know if I want to see it either, but I did think it was interesting that Overeem spent all this time talking about how he doesn't like Derek Lewis's antics and he doesn't think he's that funny and that he doesn't have any class. I'm like, you're angling for something. You aren't just saying these things to hear yourself talk.
Well, I mean, he only fought for 4 minutes. He probably remembered who he wanted to call it after the fight. He's a fighter with a plan. You got to give him that.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, we'll see what happens if they give him that fight. I mean, what is Derek Lewis known for again, Stevie? What was that term he used?
My balls was hot.
Yeah, there you go. There's a drop. What about Vince Morales and Song Yadong?
Didn't go Song too long, but it went just long enough because 30-27 across the board.
One-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And Li Jinglang beating David Zawada with a TKO in the third round at 4:07. Nothing like that last minute win there.
No, that was an impressive late finish by Jinglang, but that's what you would expect given he was the guy that had all the weight on his shoulders for a card in Beijing. He was kind of one of the draws along with Yang Sedong, or Song Yadong, sorry.
Moving on to the prelims, I mean, I was surprised when I saw that Lauren Muller lost. Mm-hmm. Jessica Aguilar lost.
Mm-hmm.
Louis Smolka won his fight.
Yep, with an armbar, which is also how Jessica Aguilar lost her fight, was armbar.
341. And
Lauren Muller also lost by armbar.
Yeah.
A lot of armbars on the prelims here.
I mean, if you have the Fight Pass, definitely go out of your way, check it out, especially for the KO finish in the main event.
Indeed. Yeah, it won't take you long to watch it.
No. All right, let's go on to... We'll do news at the end of the show. Let's talk about the Ultimate Fighter finale show in Las Vegas, Nevada, with Rafael Dos Anjos against Kamaru Usman.
I believe that's Kamaru Usman.
Sorry.
What would it be if it wasn't Glove Up or Shut Up without you and I going over pronunciation of someone's name? That's like our trademark now.
Yeah, we should trademark it.
So anyway, speaking of trademarks, Dos Anjos is a former UFC champion who, after his loss to Colby Covington, is looking to get back into contention here and hopefully get back to being a champion again.
Now, what an easy fight. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Not an easy fight. And nothing's been easy for him since he lost the lightweight title to Eddie Alvarez, because he ended up moving up to welterweight and fighting for the interim welterweight title. But, you know, he's still hanging in there. He's still trying to get back to contention, but Usman is not the guy to do it with because he has not lost a fight since 2013. That's like 13 fights in a row this guy's won, and he's 13-1, so...
I'm not sure I have the right undercard here because this next fight I'm not too familiar with.
Pedro Munoz and Brian Caraway?
No, I've got I'm looking at the Ultimate Fighter finale fight here, and I
Darren Stewart, Edmund Shabazian?
Yeah, they haven't announced the other women fighter yet because that's going to air when this show airs.
Mm-hmm.
But Caraway and Munoz, I'm not sure about that one. I don't know why. Like, Caraway, I think, should win it, but I think the last time I discounted Munoz, I got in trouble.
Right. That might have been UFC 227, where he beat Brett Johns by unanimous decision, and his only loss of late was UFC 222, and that was a split decision. So, you look at it that way, he's either 5 of his last 6, or he should be 6 of his last 6. So, Pedro Munoz is not somebody to sleep on, but Brian Caraway's coming back after quite a long layoff, going all the way back to March, where he lost a split decision to Cody Stamann. So he's going to be looking to get back into action here and make an impressive statement.
Now, I mean, usually with the 135ers, you know, you got to take into consideration a whole different bunch of factors. But I mean, geez, 5'6", And I have to think that Munoz is the favorite here, but Caraway, that long layoff of 8 months, I mean, you're not training for all 8 months. You're going to have at least one good round of getting hit in a real fight, not just in a camp, to really get the blood flowing. And Munoz might take advantage of that and finish it early.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've got Munoz winning first round. Hell, I'll even go submission. I don't want to see him in another decision fight.
Well, looking at the odds, Munoz is the favorite, minus 245 to plus 205. And by the way, since I'm talking about the odds, Usman is minus 275 to plus 235 for RDA.
That's tempting. That is tempting. If you have RDA and at a small upset and you pick a couple of favorites in the undercard, you can make some money.
Yeah, you could parlay.
Darren Stewart and Edmund Shabazian.
Yep. Minus 125 for Shabazian, plus 105 for Stewart. Coin flip.
Definitely a coin flip. Because it's in Vegas, I'm going to go with the American.
Yeah, I'll go with Stewart as well.
No, Stewart's the British.
Oh, Shabazian's the American?
Yeah.
I haven't watched this season of Ultimate Fighter, so I wouldn't know that. Just looking at their names.
I know.
You're telling me, look at Darren Stewart. That looks like an American name right there. That sounds like a NASCAR driver. Darren Stewart in the number 36 car for Pennzoil.
You Americans love your NASCAR.
Whatever.
Speaking of names you should recognize, I see a Shevchenko here.
Yeah, Antonina Shevchenko.
Shevchenko is fighting Ji Yeon Kim.
And yeah, she's a heavy favorite over Kim, minus 320 to plus 260.
I don't see this fight going to the judges.
Probably not. Not if she's related to Valentina.
Well, what about another named fighter, Rick Glenn, fighting Kevin Aguilar?
Coin flip plus 105 for Glenn, minus 125 for Aguilar.
Now, this next fight, I'm not sure why it's so low on the card. This is why I thought my order was screwed up.
Joe Benavidez and Alex Perez?
Yeah, why is that so low, Stevie?
Probably to get people to tune into the early fights.
I guess, but that seems a little early even for my taste, like it's a named fighter and Perez could shock the world here, but Perez is 3 inches taller. It's at 125. I mean, jeez.
Well, he's only a narrow favorite. He's minus 125 to Benavidez, so honestly, I'd put a little money on Jiu-Jitsu here.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Daryl Hosher and Roosevelt Roberts.
That's also probably a little low to be on this card. It's minus 290 for Roberts, plus 245 for Horcher.
Yeah, I got Roberts in that one. I can see that.
And then we got Ricky Rainey and Tim Means, minus 360 to plus 300. Now there's your upset pick, because Ricky Rainey, he hasn't been on top of his game in every single fight, but he's known as the sniper for a reason, because if he hits you with a perfect punch, you're going down.
Yeah, and if you beat a guy like Tim Means, that's saying something.
Yeah, the dirty bird himself, so fly, eagle, fly.
And Rony Barcelos against Chris Gutierrez.
Minus 470 to plus 375. That's the longest line of the tough finale.
God damn. All right, let's move on to Bellator 210. We've got Chidi Njokuani against John Salter.
Indeed we do. Chidi Bang Bang Njokuani, who recently made the move up from 170 to middleweight and is very happy that he did so, because he was having a terrible time with his weight cuts at 170. He was constantly missing weight, coming in at 175 or 178, having a lot of catch weight fights. Middleweight is a good weight class for this dude because he is tall and lanky. He is a perfect fit for 185. He is 6'3" with a 79-inch reach. So he can use that striking and that lankiness to put down pretty much anybody, except perhaps John Salter, who had been on a 6 or 7 win fight streak before he got submitted by Rafael Lovato Jr., who remained undefeated and earned a title shot against Gegard Mousasi by beating Salter, which should tell you the esteem that Salter has right now for his long winning streak and the multiple submissions that he got during that streak. So what we have here is your classic style versus style battle, where we got a really tall, lanky striker who looks like a kickboxer against a wrestler who loves to take people to the ground and tap them out.
What I'm looking at as well is I like it when a fighter is fighting at his proper weight or his or her weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he would do much better at 185. But the competition at 185 in Bellator, oh boy, that is getting to be a stacked lineup already.
Yeah, and Njikwani said as much to me when I interviewed him. He said, it's a murderer's row, but I knew I was going to have to face these guys. I knew I was going to have to face Salter or Lovato sooner or later.
I mean, if you had to do a middleweight Grand Prix, I think Njikwani could get one of the 8 spots in that.
Oh, of course.
But, I mean, just to do a fantasy booking, I'm not saying do it right now, Stevie, but if you did a middleweight Grand Prix, there would be some awesome fights in that.
Mm-hmm. Shulmenko, Njikwani, Salter, Lovato, Musasi, the list goes on and on.
Oh, God, Musasi, yeah. It's, we had that middleweight fight with McDonald. I mean, I don't think he's gonna stay at middleweight, but...
No. McDonald better stay at welterweight. That middleweight fight was a mistake. Not like a Liddell Ortiz 3 mistake, but it was a mistake.
Yeah. Well, speaking of fights I want to see, how about David Rickles and Guram Bomba?
Close enough. It's Guilherme Vasconcelos, but his nickname is Bomba, because he likes to throw big bombs. So he's got a perfect opponent for that with the Caveman, because that's what he likes to do, is get in there and throw bombs. So this is going to be a slug-em-out kind of fight.
This fight's not going to judges.
Probably not. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's what the Caveman said, is that it's not going to the judges. But, you know what? For all his power and the fact that his nickname is Bomba, when you actually look at Vasconcelos' record, half of his wins come by submission, so you gotta be careful with the guy. He packs a big punch, but if you get into a slugfest, he could actually knock you down and take your back.
That's scary. You don't want that.
No, so David Rickles needs to be a smart caveman, an educated caveman. He needs to fight like he knows that this guy is a threat in multiple areas. And based on my interview with him, I'm pretty sure he's ready for that.
What about Bruna Ellen and Christina Williams?
Once again, we have a styles make a fight kind of battle here, because we've got Williams, who is a former kickboxer who won 8 fights in that arena and scored a couple of really big wins in her opening Bellator career, especially when she knocked out Heather Hardy and destroyed her nose in the process. But then, things took a turn when she fought Valerie Letourneau, because she finally faced somebody who could take her down and hold her down. So she lost that decision, but she's still a tall, lanky kickboxing style fighter, and she's dealing with Bruna Ellen, who is a very compact and stunning looking muscular woman who will get in there and bang with you and then take you down and humble you on the ground, old country way.
Now, is this the nickname Warhorse?
Yes, that is Warhorse. And it's funny that she's got that nickname, because she's such, in her own words, a shy and introverted person. But once the cage door shuts, that's when she gets tunnel vision, the world blacks out around her, and the Warhorse comes out.
I like it. I like that nickname. It's probably one of the better nicknames I've heard in a while.
Yeah, and she's a very nice interview. She's always fun to talk to.
All right, well, let's move on to the next fight here. Oh, sorry, my screen just froze.
No, it's Juan Archuleta, the Spaniard, versus Jeremy Spoon.
There you go. Okay.
I've got the Spaniard all day in that one. He is a phenom in this division.
So we talked about fighters who, the combined ages is over 80 years old. These two fighters have a combined 5 losses and 40 wins.
Are you talking about Spoon and Archuleta? Yeah, that's true.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well,
20-1 and 20-4.
Yeah.
And they're this low on the card.
Well, they're on the main card. That's not low. I mean, Joe Warren is on the freaking prelims, so.
Yeah, he's not even on the main event of the prelims.
No, he's like down in the middle, probably underneath Joe Schilling and Will Morris.
And you gotta think, we're gonna talk about another Bellator show in a minute here, but, I mean, the prelims are pretty stacked. I mean, I like the spoon fight. I mean, I'm probably gonna take, Archuleta, and I don't even know if that's an upset, to be perfectly honest. It's a coin flip in my head. But the prelims, Daniel Weichel against Goto Yamauchi. That's oh my God.
I hate to do it to you again, but it's Daniel Weichel and Goichi Yamauchi. But yeah, this prelim card is stacked up. Nawad Lahat and Brian Moore, Gerald Harris and Richard Arpinian, Joe Warren and Sean Bunch, Daniel Weichel, Goichi Yamauchi, Chris Honeycutt, Costello Van Steenis. I mean, we've loaded up this prelim card here. Holy shit.
Nawad Lahat, Brian Moore, jeez.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's we even got an intriguing heavyweight fight here. Rudy Shefroth. If you saw that guy's last fight, he's a big boy and he's got a lot of power. That's a fun looking fight.
What about Morrison Schilling? That could be underrated.
Well, yeah, and Morris is actually a late replacement because Joe Schilling was originally going to fight Jose Leja, so we'll see if this late change of opponent affects his game plan.
It's a great prelim card. Go check it out if you have access. I mean, it's on Paramount. The main card's on Paramount and DAZN, and I believe the prelims are on
DAZN exclusively.
DAZN as well?
Yeah, DAZN for the prelims.
Perfect.
And then we got Bellator 211 on Saturday afternoon starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central.
And it's the main card is on a 1-hour tape delay. I did see that.
It is emanating from Genoa, Italy, with the main event of Alessio Sakara versus Kent Kalpanen.
So is Sakara only fighting in Europe? Is that what we're doing here?
Basically, that is how they're using him. Let's not pull any punches here. He is their Italy draw for whenever they go to Italy.
Now, it reminds me, the wrestling fans who listen to this show will get this reference, but it's sort of like Walter signing with the WWE, and they're going to put him in the NXT UK division.
Right, because he doesn't want to come to the United States. He wants to stay in Europe. So he's going to be competing in NXT UK, and then when they launch NXT Germany, he'll probably be the top star. So,
I mean, you have a European star who's going to headline the European shows. That's what we're looking at here with Sakara.
I mean, if that's how they want to use him, more power to them. I mean, that's actually smart booking, because if they've got a guy who's big enough in Italy that he can draw a house, put him on every show, use him that way.
But do you bring the champion there if he succeeds over and over again, or does he have to go to the States to get a title shot?
Well, he already got a title shot, and he lost.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. I conveniently forgot about that one.
Well,
I don't think
don't forget about Hesdy Gurgis here, because this is a guy with a very interesting kickboxing background. His professional record is 50, 20, and 1. So he's never had a single MMA fight, but his kickboxing record is extensive.
How tall is he again?
Oh, jeez.
6'7".
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't remember if it was like 8 or 9, but it's actually 6'7". He's a big boy.
I mean, what was the old joke? Where's the beef? There's the beef. 6'7", 265. Good Lord.
So,
speaking of pro wrestlers.
Yeah, Domingos Barros has got the MMA edge and experience, but that's a formidable task that he's got in front of him, so we'll see if he can handle it.
Can you imagine if he takes him down? You got a guy 6'7" on his back?
We've seen stranger things before. We've seen people take down a 7-foot-tall skyscraper named Stefan Struve.
We have seen that. We've seen him live. It's, boy, oh boy, it's a sight, that's for sure, especially in the cage.
The rest of this card, at least the main televised card, and definitely the preliminary card, is local guys that are on the scene in Europe. We've got like Kiefer Crosby and Orlando D'Ambrosio at welterweight. We've got Luca Vitali and Luka Jelcic at lightweight. The latter, Luka Jelcic, he fought on a Bellator card previously. And then we've got at middleweight Alan Amadovsky and Ibrahim Main. Ibrahim is from Paris, France, making his Bellator debut. Amadovsky won his last fight by knockout. So I'm going to favor Amadovsky in that, and coin flip in the other two.
Fair enough. Now, we don't have much time for news, Stevie, but I did want to get your opinion on a couple of things. Dana White said Sage Northcutt is not resigning.
What about UFC Adelaide, though? Are we getting to that?
We will get to that. That's the show coming up. Yeah, I wanted to get there in a second, but I did want to ask you the Sage Northcutt first before we talk about UFC Adelaide.
Right. He said Sage needs more experience. Well, he won his last 3 fights. How much more experience does he need, Dana?
I don't know. I saw that and I was like, that's a little ridiculous, but I mean, there's no minor league system you can go to.
Yeah.
It's either UFC or bust.
Apparently, though, 1SC really wants Sage, so they're going to steal him right out from under Dana's nose.
Yeah, well, I just hate to see that someone who UFC homegrown product needs more seasoning, so they're going to cut him loose.
Oh, as somebody said on a comment board earlier today, and I think it was one of the maniacs at MMA Mania, you mean to tell me Artem Lobov is worth keeping, but Sage Northcutt is let go?
Thank you. Exactly. It's like the old, please to explain.
Yeah, I don't get that one at all.
Anyways, now that I got that out of our system, let's talk about the show in Australia, UFC Fight Night 142 on December the 1st, and that's going to be Junior Dos Santos and Tai
Tuivasa.
Speaking of fighters who might be one knockout away, I don't know about JDS right now.
And it's not like there's a real heavy edge for him as a favorite either. He's minus 155. Tuivasa is plus 135. And Tuivasa is the hometown favorite, so to speak, because he's from Sydney, Australia. So with an 8-0 record, and of those 8 fights, he's won 7 by knockout. This is a very dangerous fight for JDS.
Do you recommend it?
Well, I mean, what else are you going to do at this point? Because JDS for, 5-6 years now has been win-loss, 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 win-loss. It's, he wins against Frank Mir, he loses to Kane. He wins against Mark Hunt, he loses to Kane again. He wins against Stipe Miocic, he loses to Reem. He wins against Rothwell, he loses to Miocic. It's like, okay, we know you're one of the greatest heavyweights of all time, but you're so inconsistent. You're win-loss, 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 win-loss. If he's going to get anywhere in this division, he needs to put 2 wins in a row against quality guys. And he already did that with Blagoy Ivanov back in July. So, yeah, he needs this fight.
How's his speed, do you think?
I don't think his speed is that bad. I mean, I know you said he could be a knockout away or whatever, but at 34 years old, I don't think he's past his prime. Not yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm hoping JDS wins, but I don't like his odds, so to speak.
Well, the odds makers don't either.
All right. Tyson Pedro and Shogun Rua, another fighter.
Yep. That one is minus 460 for Pedro. I think that's right because Shogun Rua is way, way past his prime at this point.
Well, the next fight, Mark Hunt. Are we is this seniors division? What is this?
Okay,
JDS, Shogun Rua, Mark Hunt.
No. Don't put JDS in the seniors division. I disagree with that. But if you want to put Mark Hunt there, fine, whatever. He is your Alessio Sakara of this card. They put him on this card as a local draw.
Ozzy. Oi.
You got it. And he's plus 100, and Justin Willis is minus 120, so it's a coin flip.
Jake Matthews and Tony Martin. I like Matthews in this fight.
Let me see if the odds makers do as well. Matthews is minus 130. He's a small favorite. Martin is plus 110.
Okay, what about the other fights on the main card?
Let me see here. We've got Paul Craig, Jim Crute, minus 235, plus 195 for Craig. We've got Sadiq Youssef and Suman Mokhtarian. Youssef is a heavy favorite at minus 550. We've got Yushin Okami and Alexei Kunchenko. Kunchenko is a heavy favorite at minus 340. We've got Wilson Hayes and Ben Wynn. Wynn is a small favorite at minus 140. We've got Christos Giagos and Mizuto Rota, and Giagos is a sizable favorite, minus 335. We've got Salim Douari and Kita Nakamura. Nakamura is minus 190. We've got Damir Ismagulov and Alex Gorgees, and Ismagulov is minus 460. We've got Elias Garcia and Kai Kara France. Kara France is minus 335.
The one thing about Nakamura's record, 33-8-2.
Mm-hmm. He is he's a longtime veteran. What is it, Shudo and Rings, I believe?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he's been in this game for quite a while. He is 34 years old, but he's got a lot of experience. Yeah, Shudo and Deep and World Victory Road, among others.
Well, I'm just looking at the calendar, Stevie. We've got next week, we're going to preview UFC 231, Holloway and Ortega.
Mm-hmm.
The week after that, we've got another stacked show. We've got Bellator, USO Troops, Salute the Troops.
Mm-hmm. And then the next night, we've got the Alaymalay McFarland title defense.
Yeah, that's the same night as Lee and Iaquinta 2.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going head-to-head. And Invicta's got a show as well. Then we have a little bit of a break. So maybe we'll do the UFC 1 review, like, time capsule type thing. Because the next show won't be until December 29th in Vegas with John Jones against the Mauler number 2. And we can preview Ryzen on December 31st. So, I mean, we've got a couple of shows coming up, but we do have time at the end of December to do, not saying a live watch, but we give our thoughts about the first UFC pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think our fans would like to hear that. I think we should both sit down, watch it, take some notes, give our thoughts, and give our perspective now that we've had the 25th anniversary of UFC. Look back at that very first UFC and see how it looks today with modern eyes.
I don't think there's one fight I know where the guy's tooth flies that will never get old.
Yeah, I remember that too. Just like I remember an announcer burping on commentary.
Same show, folks. Same show.
This is the night where we learned where fighting isn't what we thought it was.
No, it's
That's one of my favorite lines, though, because even though it may not be worded in quite the perfect way, it is literally the truth. That night, everybody learned fighting isn't what you thought it was.
Now, did you notice who was a referee at the Liddell Ortiz show?
It's probably either Herb Dean or John McCarthy, who would have been a fighter back in those days.
Chris Lieben.
Oh, that's right.
He's gone from being a fighter to refereeing fights and being a judge, but he was actually one of the referees on most of the undercard for that show.
Hey, Frank Trigg was a referee on that card, too.
Geez, Frank Trigg, Chris Lieben. I mean, you don't get hurt being a referee, so.
No. Unless a fighter accidentally throws a punch at you because he's punch drunk.
Yeah, you punch Chris Lieben accidentally. Oh, didn't mean. Okay.
Yeah, that's a bad idea. Remember what Chris Lieben used to say?
Oh God, what did he say?
I have a button on my nose, you hit it and a fist pops out.
Yep. I just want to mention Henry Cejudo and TJ Dillashaw. The flyweight title fight is now official for UFC 233.
Mm-hmm.
And I did want to mention the man accused of the
one who beat up
passing.
Rachel Ostovich. I think his name is Burden.
No. I wasn't going there. I'll get there in a second. But the man who basically killed Ryan Jimmo pled guilty to manslaughter.
Oh, okay.
So it was it was 2 years ago now already. That doesn't seem that far away.
Wasn't that the one that got started over like a parking dispute or a vehicular dispute? Yeah.
Road rage, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that guy pled guilty and he's going to jail. That's justice.
Now I hope Austin, the one you wanted to mention there, I hope the guy gets a lengthy sentence there.
Yeah, Burden, I think he's going down for this one. And Ostovich has a protective order. He has to have no contact with her for the next 3 months.
So I have a problem with that. I have a problem with Ostovich. Not the popular opinion.
Okay.
She went to a second doctor, and she's now on the fight's back on again for January against Paige Van Zandt.
No. She shouldn't be taking the fight after this. No.
She went out, got a second opinion, boss.
Oh, man. Okay, look, I mean, I understand. She's a fighter. This is how she makes her living. She doesn't want to lose a payday because of this. But I don't think UFC would have been adverse to giving her a little money considering what happened to her and the fact that she got removed from a fight for reasons not of her own making. I don't think they would have punished her for that.
And also one other fight that, speaking of fighters who shouldn't be fighting anymore, Anderson Silva.
Yeah, fighting
He's
Israel
fighting
Adesanya in 2019. But, I mean, again, how are you going to tell him no?
I mean, Adesanya's going to make a name off him.
Well, Adesanya's been doing that with everybody who fights.
And Adesanya is doing the right thing. He's saying this fight means more than winning the title.
That's how Michael Bisping felt when he fought Silva.
Well, for Stevie J, I'm Peter H., the Hardcore Canadian. Thanks for listening. As we say, never leave it to the judges. Good night, everybody.
See ya.